What's going on, guys? It's Windascent here, and I'm bringing you a Metalseedramon deck profile. So, I've bought a couple of boxes of the newest set and updated my deck, but not with Altforce Speedramon. Got quite a few of those, but traded them away. I wanted something that felt that I liked it both for the Digimon, the playstyle. Well, that's basically it. So anyways, it's a deck that focuses on climbing relatively fast and then also popping an Omnimon and destroying their Digimon and attacking many times with big numbers. But it's a many-sided deck. It does quite a bit, and let's go through all the Digimon first, and then we can go a little bit more in depth. So we have to start with the Digitama. Now, you might be wondering what the hell is going on here, and I'll explain. I only own 2 Upamon, which I would be playing 4 of, and then one of this or one of this. So Upamon, when it attacks and your opponent has a Digimon without a Digivolution source, you get to draw a card. It's a once per turn effect. And then this guy gives your Digimon plus 1000 power when attacking a Digimon with no sources. This guy gives your Digimon 2000 power on your turn if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon without any sources. And I find that this one is pretty easy to get to, even if you don't focus on getting rid of sources. But I got a few guys who get rid of sources. So, what I'm trying to say here is, if you would want to play this deck, the thing that you need to keep in mind is that basically 2 of these would be this guy, or then these 2, like 4 of him and 1 of either one. Doesn't really matter. It's up to you. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's get to the level 3s. So, first up, we have 4 Gomamon from Booster Set 1. His inheritable skill is, when this Digimon dies, memory +1. Could even end your opponent's turn. It's really good and nice effect, and works well with the blocker. Block an attack, dies, you get memory, or basically your opponent has less memory, or it could end their turn. It's even a nice little threat. And then we have the Booster Set Gabumon, 4 of him. On play, draw a card. So basically, doesn't matter if you evolve him from a Digitama or play him normally, you always draw 1. Then we have 3 of the starter deck Gabumon. Inheritable skill, when attacking, remove the bottom evolution source of one of your opponent's level 5 or less Digimon. So that's the level 3 lineup. We got 11 of them, and yeah, not really much more to say there. Moving on to level 4s. 4 of the Booster Set 2 Ikakumon. When attacking, it's inheritable skill, as you can see. When attacking, remove the top evolution source of one of your opponent's Digimon. And I really like that, because usually you remove the bottom ones, like Gabumon, and then the starter deck Garurumon. But Ikakumon removes the top source, which is usually better than the bottom. Well, most likely is. And for example, if you're playing against a deck with Omnimon and they haven't removed the top source to level 6, you could take that away and they won't be able to restand. So, moving on, 4 of the blockers. It's I don't know what to say. Like, you want to have blockers. This is a really good one. Good stats for a good price. And then it has blocker. And the only downside is if you attack, you get -2 memory. But my logic in this game is you rarely want to attack security unless you're sure that you can survive losing a couple of Digimons. You want to be careful with that. I like to play the slow game and a control game. And especially in a game where we have the mechanics, like here in security. And if you're going for the win, it doesn't matter if you get -2 memory when attacking, because if you attack with this, let's say you're at 1 or 0 memory, and you attack and your memory would go to your opponent's side, every mechanic and ability that's going on will resolve before the turn changes, so the attack will go through before the turn changes, so you can finish games with him, and that's the only time you would attack with him. There are some exceptions, if you get an easy kill or something, but yes. Moving on. Now to the last, level 4, one that I like a lot, Cedar. Mostly because of the art, but also because it's a level 4 that costs 3 to play normally. And that's really good. Not much more to say about him. So, running up the level 4s, 4 Kakimon, 4 Grizzlymon, and 1 Cedarmon, for a total of 9. Let's move on, shall we? Well, we have, for level 5s, we have 4 of the starter deck Garurumon. Skill is inheritable skill, as you can see. When attacking, get security attack +1 if your opponent has a Digimon with no evolution source. Quite simple, but it's not. He's not there to be to make you attack a lot and aggro. He's more it's a nice effect, but it's not something that you have to focus on. It's an extra gimmick of the deck. You get more security attacks super easily, but you should still be careful and really prepared for when to attack, and kind of play the slowish control game. But you can aggro also. This deck has many different ways of playing, which is why I like it. And then the last level 5, this teddy bear that I forget the name of, Monsaimon or maybe something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just a vanilla with very good costs for a level 5. If you would compare the vanilla costs of this deck, 5 to play normally, 2 to digivolve. That's the basic cost of these level 4s. So level 5 with that cost, very nice for climbing. And then same thing goes basically with Cedarmon. Well, only the to play normally cost 3 to play normally, same as the level 3s in this deck. So that's basically the reasoning. Cheap to play normally, cheap to evolve or digivolve. Digivolving gets you card draw. Playing normally makes you get a cheap level 5, and then you can evolve that. For example, if you would play Plesiamon on him, you play 7 memory. If you play him normally and then evolve him, that's a cheap deal. It's a good deal. And yeah. Do I need to explain more? If it's unclear, ask in the comments, but I think I've already over-explained this. So let's move on, shall we? Oh yeah, 7 level 5s. But yeah, moving on, you already saw Plesiamon, 4 of him, the vanilla. You can play him for 10 if you want. If you really need to play him and then evolve him to Omnimon. But he's super cheap to evolve, just 2 memory. That's awesome, especially when you're playing 2 Omnimons. And he's a big boy, he can take care of himself. And then to continue the Sea Serpents, we have 3 Metalseedramon. And Metalseedramon is really cool because you can use him as a standalone Digimon, you can play him because he has an when played or on play skill, which says return up to 2 of your opponent's level 4 or less Digimon to their hand. And of course the sources are discarded. So you can bounce stuff if they're rushing or as a control aspect. And it's a 3 cost to evolve, but then you won't get that effect, but it's still fine. And as you might see, these guys can be played normally if you really just want to get one of them out and then evolve into Omnimon during our next turn. So I really like, that's what I like with this deck. Like, there are many cards that you can either evolve or just play instantly and then evolve further, and none of them is really, like, there's benefit to both sides, just playing them normally and evolving to most cards in this deck. So it really gives you many choices. Every card gives you, like, well, 2 choices, most cards at least, that are both beneficial in their own way. And then Metalseedramon's other ability is your turn. This Digimon cannot be blocked by your opponent's Digimon without a Digivolution source. That's just like a little extra spice, but it puts pressure on your opponent and it can help you win the game. So that's not the ability why I would play this guy, but it is a very nice added bonus that helps you very much. And pressuring your opponent is always a good thing. So 7 level 6s. And then moving on to the last Digimon, we have 2 Omnimon, level 7. For if someone doesn't know what he does, I guess I'll tell you. When he's evolved, you choose one of your opponent's Digimon, destroy it, and all other Digimon your opponent controls with the same name. Very, very strong ability. And the second ability is, when attacking, remove a level 6. You can remove a level 6 Digimon from this Digimon's evolution source to your hand to make this active. So you attack, you remove a level 6 source to your hand, make it active, then let it be there if you want to keep him safe from attacks, or then you just attack again. With 15,000 power, you're safe from most things. And also returning something to your hand like a Metalseedramon lets you play its on playability again, and or evolve it if you're in that kind of situation where you would rather evolve it. But still, really love this guy. He gives you options. Really fun with Metalseedramon. The whole deck is really fun, if I'm being honest. And doing really well, actually. So, moving on to option cards. We have 4 of, Hammer Spark, Hammer of Vulcan, Thor's Hammer, something along those lines. The point is, it's a 0 cost card that gives you 1 memory. If it comes from security, it gives you 2 memory. In this game, when you have so much draw from evolving, it's very, very much a deck building game, in the sense where as long as you build your deck right, you will get the cards you want. And the question is just about how you built the deck. What does it do? How does it play? How many different... Well, when I say options now, I don't mean option cards, but how many options do you have depending on what the deck can do. So you'll get the cards you want. In this deck, at least, I've never had the problem of, I need that card. Like, I've clogged once of all of my games, and still I think I managed to win that game. So you'll get the cards you want. The only resource that you need to help with controlling is memory. So this is actually a really good card. It helps you so much. It scares your opponent. It can end their turn when they're attacking security carelessly. It's done that for me a couple of times. Very nice. One of the best cards, in my opinion. Moving on, we have 4 Cocytus Breath. Bounce an opponent's card to their hand, or one of their Digimon. Simple as that. Security effect is just play its main ability. It's a good removal. I think 4 is a solid number. It's a bit expensive, but I'd say that's fine. You play it when you need to play it. And 3 of this card, I don't remember the name, but it's a 1 memory cost card. Draw 1 card. If it comes from security, draw 2 cards. Really easy to remember. Gain 1 memory, draw 1 card. Gain security, gain 2 memory, security, draw 2 cards. See, easy to remember. And then, for Tamers, we have 3 of the booster mat, I guess. I know I'm butchering some names, so just give it to me in the comments. He's a 4-cost Tamer who says, at the start of your turn, if you have 2 or less memory, move the memory counter or whatever you call it to 3. So you go to 3 memory basically. So every turn you'll go to at least 3 memory. So you want this card as early as possible. But other than that, he's not so important. So I think 4 would be a bit too much because I tend to see him always. And yeah, he also has another ability. If you play a Digimon from your hand, you can tap him and then so like this, and remove the bottom evolution source from one of your opponent's Digimon. Helps with the deck and disrupting your opponent's evolution source tower or whatever you want to call it. These ratios have been working very well for me. I'm really happy with the deck. Like you can play it so differently every time. You can very well adapt to all the decks you play against, and you just have a lot of choices. I really love it, and I recommend it. It's quite budget friendly, fun to play, doing very well, and a bit different from what you might usually see in the meta. So, that's been my updated blue deck profile, and this is Windescent signing out. Have a good one.